Now, let's go to Syria because President Bashar al-Assad gave a speech in Damascus yesterday in a very rare television appearance, given the violence that's been continuing in the country. He described his enemies as enemies of God and puppets of the West. He did offer negotiations on a new constitution, but said that he wouldn't talk to what he described as foreign-backed terrorists. He called on every citizen to defend the country according to their means. His speech was criticised roundly internationally. Nabila Ramdani is a journalist and Middle East analyst. Nabila, I suppose this speech of interest simply because it's pretty rare to see President Assad on television giving a speech, given the turmoil in the country at the moment. What did you make of what he had to say?
Well, yes, indeed. Aside from a fleeting appearance in November when President Assad appeared on Russian television saying effectively that he would live and die in Syria, this speech was very much used by the president to maintain some kind of respectable public face and indeed set the tone for 2013 and any illusions about the new year opening in a spirit of peace and indeed optimism was certainly crushed by his speech yesterday, because the president didn't offer a compromise at all, nor a willingness to step down as the bloodshed is intensifying in the country. And what he effectively said is that he would remain in power indefinitely, and this is despite 60,000 people dying since the start of the revolt some 2 years ago, a revolt which has now turned into a savage civil war. And the president, all but rejected any peace initiatives, instead blaming foreign terrorists supported by enemy countries for the bloodshed instead of his own misrule. And his entire speech, which was studiously choreographed, was delivered in the Damascus Opera House, and it has a theatrical feel about it, it has to be said. It was utterly self-serving, cynical, not to say macabre, considering how many people have died since March 2011.
And how was it received within Syria and on the international stage?
Well, aside from offering technical measures such as a national charter, referendum, and indeed an expanded government and such measures, something that the opposition groups, let alone members of the international community, dismissed completely and utterly, because Assad is not in a position to reform his way out of trouble any longer. That possibility ended when he started slaughtering his own people in a ruthless manner. We've heard reactions from the UK. The Foreign Secretary summed up the situation when he described the speech as beyond hypocritical, saying that the violence and the deaths in Syria were Assad's own making, and Assad was yet again making empty promises that fool no one. The US also described Assad as detached from reality, and the European Union called for Assad to stand down, while the Syrian National Coalition said that it was a waste of time, effectively.
Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Nabila Ramdani there, a journalist and Middle East analyst.